Faces dropped on a new Soccer Down here, Power Hour edition on Boxing Day. John Nelson, Jason Longshore with you this morning. And John, you want to explain Boxing Day for the audience?
It's the day after Christmas. It's madness.
That's why they call it Boxing Day?
I don't know. Why do they call it Boxing Day?
I was hoping you would explain it.
Okay, well, I'll do the quick...
It's not going to be so quick, but...
No, but you know what? I will say this. In the future, it will be.
Well, it'll be quicker, at least the computer will be, because you've got some assistance there, but there's still human inputs needed.
Oh, absolutely true.
Uh-huh.
No, comes from a time when the rich used to box up gifts to give to the poor. Boxing Day was traditionally a day off for servants and the day when they received a special Christmas box from their masters. The servants would also go home on Boxing Day to give Christmas boxes to their families. Okay. That's according to the BBC.
I don't really love that, but all right, whatever. Good times. It is Boxing Day, and it is a tradition to have a bunch of games in England, and there's already been one that is completed. It was 2-2. Leicester at home, 2-2 with Manchester United. Some of the reaction's been weird to this. Leicester's in second place. Right now, they're still in second place. They were ahead of Manchester United coming in. And it was like, yeah, Brendan Rodgers, how do you feel about getting a point against Manchester United?
What?
You watched it. I mean,
I did.
You're hearing all of the reaction to it. And also then the same thing about like, oh, well, how do you not go to Leicester and win and get 3 points? It's like it's two top teams, second and third in the table as we currently stand, although that might not be the case when we're done. And it kind of, to me, feels like Leicester dropped an opportunity here at home against the team they're in a higher place in the table in, unless they don't believe that they really are that good. And if they're not, then does Manchester United believe they're that good? And I don't know if they believe it. So we're in this weird scenario. It was 2-2. Manchester United blew 2 leads. Not good.
No, and Nathan Pugh is in this morning already to discuss the game. He says, Bruno Fernandes clutching his destroyed ankle on the turf, but Tuanzebe passes it to him anyway. And behold, a Boxing Day miracle. Fernandes can run again. I love footy. Hashtags across the board are Power Hour Boxing Day and hashtag Vardy's bird is a grass.
Okay. Vardy's goal was taken away from him. It was an own goal. And yes. What? Are you okay over there?
No.
And Jarrett just comes running in saying he's not okay after I thought he was like choking or gargling or something.
No, I came on and I heard a bunch of hashtags and I was just confused. So, yeah.
I mean, that's nothing new. Aston Villa has scored, by the way, against Crystal Palace at home. Not necessarily a shock. The whole thing with Bruno Fernandes, and yes, he was wailing because he got whacked and then the ball was passed to him and he got back up. That was pretty funny. If I was a Liverpool fan, like some of our friends who listen to the show, like Nathan,
yes,
I would probably be careful about talking about people falling over easily. You know, there's a couple guys, especially one who's not very happy with not being named the interim captain for a meaningless Champions League game, who continues to talk, and this continues to be a conversation. Now Klopp's talking about it, and, oh, well, you know, they're asking him about Barcelona and Real Madrid, so anybody would say things like that. And it's like, well, none of this looks good for any of you. So, like, could you all just stop talking about it?
We're like 2 days away from Mo Salah doing sit-ups in his driveway. I'm here for it.
No, I don't think so. Like, I do think that he said he's unhappy. He's unhappy. He was unhappy about something that happened. He hasn't ruled out going to a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, which is understandable. A lot of people wouldn't rule that out. I'm a little surprised. And
Neither have I.
Well, of course, but you're not going anywhere, Jared. I will echo.
So says you.
You're not going anywhere. I will echo what Klopp said about, you know, the idea that why should he be unhappy? And this was where I think it was a very specific thing that he was getting into. He's at Liverpool. He's winning everything he can win. He's seen as one of the best players in the world. Why would he even be unhappy, and he shouldn't be talking about it. Klopp didn't say that last part, but I think he implied it.
Yeah.
It's a bad look, and it's going to become an issue because it keeps getting bandied around. Now, ropes with a question, and this is legit right now, and I think we're starting to hear some of the realities of this upcoming transfer window, and even in the summer. Rope says can either afford him. Barcelona can't, we know that. Real Madrid could, but they're trying to actually be fiscally responsible right now. And I think they've kind of saved their money for the possibility of an Mbappe. Would they spend that on Salah? Possibly. It's not going to happen till the summer if they do. And we don't really know what it looks like. I don't expect any major big signings in January. Now, we could see some trades, some swaps. We could see some loans. We could see a lot of things like that. But I'm not expecting any big moves of one player to another for a lot of money in January. And I don't think Mo Salah's in that situation. Come the summer, does he try to force a way out of Liverpool? I don't know.
But now and we've been playing dominoes here for the last little while. So if Messi then goes to PSG, would that not encourage Mbappe to stay and then open the window for Real to chase after Salah?
It could. I mean, Real Madrid could pick a lot of different players. To be perfectly honest, I'm not going to pick somebody who's complaining about not being a temporary captain in a meaningless Champions League game. I mean, that's me. I'm not picking that guy for Real Madrid. That's a bad look. And I don't think it really increases your viability. There's something going on. Like, you don't make that comment unless there's something going on, and it doesn't really seem to make much sense. So this is going to be a drama. It will continue. We will see where it plays out. But, yes, we got there because Bruno Fernandes took a dive, and Nathan took a laugh about it. So then we started to crack on Mo Salah because it happens sometimes. Liverpool is in first in the table right now. They will be in first at the end of the weekend. Although who is in second and third and fourth and fifth is up for grabs. Right at this moment, it is Leicester in second, 3 points behind Liverpool, 1 point ahead of Manchester United, who's in third. Everton can jump into second with a win this afternoon at Sheffield United, who has not won a game this season. That would be a very likely scenario. We'll get to the numbers in a second. Chelsea can jump ahead of Leicester as well on goal differential if they win at Arsenal this afternoon, which is another result that you would have to say is pretty likely. So you could look at a situation where it is Everton in second, Chelsea in third, Leicester in fourth, and Manchester United in fifth by the end of the day today.
But, you're looking at that gaggle from second to eighth, and you're only separated by 3 points right now. And so you're going to have that snow globe continue to shift back and forth with a lot of change over the next little while, I think.
Well, I didn't say that was going to be it forever. I just said that's what could happen at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's all about this placement. It's all about where things go because as we saw with the Leicester-Manchester United conversation this morning, it's like this was second versus third. And it was, I don't know if people just don't think Leicester is really there and really that good. I don't know if people think more of Manchester United. Some seem to think nothing of Manchester United. Others think way too much of Manchester United. The conversation didn't feel like it matched up with second versus third.
Yeah.
And it might not be second and third by the end of the day. So it's going to be all over the place. Nobody has really established themselves as a true title contender except for Liverpool. Yeah. Nobody is a total title contender except for Liverpool. Go ahead.
I'm absolutely with you because when you look at Leicester, Manchester United, Everton, Chelsea, Villa, Tottenham, Southampton.
And Southampton's not in this conversation, John. Come on, really?
But no, I'm just including them because they're 3 points.
No. Okay, let me be very clear. I'm not talking about a true championship contender based off where they are in the table and how many points they have. I'm talking about can they win the title, period.
Oh, God, then no Southampton, no.
Well, that's what I just said. Can Leicester? They're right now in second. I don't know if people believe that they can. I think they can.
Yeah.
I think Manchester United can be in this conversation. I think Chelsea can be in this conversation. I think Everton can be in this conversation. I don't think anybody else outside of Liverpool has established themselves as a contender yet, but I think they can. I don't think Southampton can.
No, I think Tottenham can, though.
I don't think Tottenham can. I'm not buying it as a title contender. I'm not saying just a good team. I'm not saying a Champions League team. I'm saying a title contender. The only one who's done it right now is Liverpool, and I don't know if anybody else will. I don't think Tottenham can. I think it's Chelsea as the most likely. I agree with what Mikel Arteta said. I think Chelsea has the strongest squad. Now, manager, can all the pieces fit? There are questions about Chelsea. They're not in first right now, so there have to be questions. I think they have the strongest squad of any of these teams. They're the most likely to establish themselves as a title contender, in my opinion. I think they're the best team that is outside of Liverpool right now.
And the question for me with Chelsea is Lampard. With all of the talent there and managing it, with all of the competitions that's there, is he going to come up with the right combinations, or is he going to, find a way to not have all of that talent being the way that it should be every match out? Are his matchups when it comes to lineups in the competition that you're facing? I think Lampard for me is the wild card in all of this. With all of that talent on the bench, there's only one ball that can go in the back of the net. Are your lineup combinations and your thoughts week in and week out going to be the ones that will get you the championship by the end? Lampard for me is the biggest question with that talent. Can he manage the talent for this entire season?
You're really down on Lampard.
I mean, when you bring in all of this talent,
that has nothing to do with Lampard. That's what I'm saying. Like you're assuming. I'm correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
The way you said that, you think Lampard will fail at that. You didn't say it as a hypothetical. You're expecting it, right?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Why? What has he shown you that he can't do the job? Because you've come to that conclusion, it sounds like. I haven't yet. I was worried earlier. He's corrected the defensive issues. And a lot of that,
to me, was one of the biggest.
But that's a long time ago. That's a long time ago. That's done. They're not a defensive problem anymore. That was corrected, and a lot of that was down to getting Kepa to the bench. Okay,
yes.
So that's fixed. But what has he done or shown you to not have any belief that he can get the job done?
I have a concern about juggling European competition and the Premier League with the talent that you have. I know that, and what I'm seeing from Lampard is bringing the same lineup out each and every time, and
he's not doing that though, is he?
Every time I turn, when I sit there and I'm looking at international competition, the European stuff, and the Premier League. I mean, Giroud is getting his run, but for me, I just have a concern about trying to compete with Liverpool from where you are and going with the same lineup and doing what Brendan Rodgers traditionally does and running that lineup into the ground, and you start off with this fantastic flourish, and then at the end of the year, because you've worn them all out, you end up fading at the end.
I'm going to dig into this for a second on Chelsea's lineup.
I mean, if I'm wrong,
I haven't gotten that sense because he's played different lineups. I think as he's had to. Liverpool, you could say the same thing. Like anybody with competition, with a lot of competition for spots, but also a lot of competitions to play in, is gonna struggle with this. It looks like, and this is at a glance, this is with 14 games played.
Right.
Let me make sure we're good here with where I want this to be to make sure I'm giving you the correct information. All right. Yes, 14 games played. You've had N'Golo Kante and Timo Werner start all of those. Zuma started 13. Mount started 12. Reece James 11. Chilwell 11. Edward Mendy 10. Thiago Silva 10. Kai Havertz 10. Tammy Abraham 7, Kovacic 6, Jorginho 6, Ziyech 5, Pulisic 4, Azpilicueta 4, Andreas Christensen 4, Giroud 3. This is in league competition. That's a lot of rotation. I don't think that's the case, and that's why I'm asking the questions, because the question about Lampard is he's never been here before. That's the question. There's nothing else that has shown us, I think, that he can't do it, other than the fact he hasn't done it yet. Right. And that's a valid question. That's fine. But the rest of it feels like noise a little bit about Chelsea. They have an incredibly talented roster.
No doubt.
And as Tesco asks, do Spurs, Saints, Foxes, do they have the depth? Chelsea's the only one that has this kind of depth. Even Liverpool right now with their injuries doesn't have this kind of depth.
Yes.
So talent comes through quite often, and they've got the most. That's healthy. Liverpool can argue that when they're fully healthy. They're not. We'll see when that is, if that is this season. So that's a huge element going in Lampard's favor. Now, they've got to get the results, and that's what it's going to come down to, because it's not about lineups on paper. It's about performances, and theirs have been good. And if they are in second or third, and probably third by the end of the day, I think they're just fine. I think they're just fine. I don't think there's a whole lot to worry about.
But I want to see late in the year, if they're competing for a title, how Lampard responds, since he hasn't been in this kind of a
how he
rush
responds
before.
In what way? Like what? But this is what I'm asking. Like, yes, he hasn't been there, but you're already assuming he can't do it.
I'm looking at his level. I'm looking at what he hasn't been in versus the managers who we anticipate will be there who have, and how he will respond going up against those managers in a situation as a manager that that is foreign to his CV, chasing after a title at the very end of his season.
Yeah, sure. But there's not a lot here to say so far from what we've seen from Frank Lampard that he can't do it. And he's got the talent to do it. So
then I guess I postpone my opinion until
no,
this number of matches. Match week 28.
No. Have your opinion. That's not what I'm saying. And this is what I'm getting to. And Bernd has a point. We'll get to it in a second. It's got to be more than the surface level stuff, because they've got a lot going for them. Now, you want to go a step further and talk about it, and Bernd says, I've got to defend John. I can't see a clear stylistic identity for Chelsea since Lampard took over. Absolutely.
Yes.
Those are the things to talk about when it comes to Chelsea. The idea that he hasn't been here before, I totally agree. I'm not worried about that at this point. I've seen enough. I'm good. He's been there as a player. He's going to have to make some tough decisions. So far, he's managing the group pretty well. I haven't heard about anybody complaining about not being a temporary captain about anything. So he's doing a pretty good job there. So those concerns we can put to the side. Those questions about style and identity and what Chelsea's going to be, that hasn't been established yet. That's a very, very fair criticism. Now, they have the talent to potentially overcome that. Right. And we've seen teams do this. And the way this year could go, it's really weird with all of the injuries that Liverpool's dealing with. Do they run out of gas? Do they run out of bodies to be able to compete at the levels that they're expected to compete at? And does the talent come through even with, somewhat of a bland, vanilla kind of style? They do have deficiencies. I totally agree with Bernd. And that's more on the recruitment than Lampard. I don't think Lampard was out running the transfer strategy. They have redundancies. We talked about that when they were putting this team together. They're going to have to play guys, a lot in different places. They're going to have to rotate to keep everybody happy because they've got so many players in certain positions. They're not necessarily good enough defensively yet because they invested so much in the attack, but Thiago Silva's come good. They get Mendy. It's good. I think they corrected those for now. Do they do anything in January for the little tweak, for the little boost to be even better? They should, in my opinion, because they're that close. If the right move is there for them, and I don't know what that is, without studying it a little bit closer, but if the right move becomes available for them and they think it can put them over the top, they should jump on it, because I think outside of Liverpool, they are the most likely to win the Premiership this year.
And knowing Roman Abramovich, he's definitely going to want to invest if he sees a window where he can win a championship. So he's never been shy about spending money, as we saw in the offseason, bringing in all this offensive talent.
Yeah, and you could say maybe brought in too much in too many of the same spots. That's a concern. But if the right move is there, they are that close. It could fall for them this year. Tesco, and I think I did this for a while, Tesco says that it sounds like he's still being judged by his championship coaching. I thought last year was a big success for Lampard. It's good that he got that under his belt. It's good that he doesn't go into it with this much talent this season with no experience at the top flight as the manager. So now he's got that. That's going to end up helping him. I thought he did well last year too, and the expectations were a lot lower. He's handling the expectations just fine so far. And look, it helps that you've got whatever the drama is with Salah at Liverpool, with the injuries at Liverpool, with Jose Mourinho talking noise over on the other side of town, with all the Ole in-out stuff. You've got all these different things that are going on, and we're not really talking a lot about Chelsea, and we're not really talking a lot about Lampard. And they're able to just kind of go about their business. That's great for him. It's a great spot. The more and more I look at it, the more and more that, I kind of get a feel for where this season is in England. I think Chelsea has as good of a chance to win the title as Liverpool. And it's between those two. Nobody else has put themselves in that class yet.
Yeah. Nathan's back in and he says, Salah may fall, but at least he flails his arms whilst falling.
He doesn't yell as loud. I think that's the difference. Bruno Fernandes will yell very loud. Salah definitely will throw the arms around, and he loves to fall down. It's really annoying sometimes. But anyway, that was a very funny moment with Bruno Fernandes on the ground yelling, and he just gets the ball passed to him.
Oh, hi.
Well, yeah, we've seen it before. That one was very funny. Chiefs coach Steve says, if a team has a discernible stylistic identity, I feel like they're easier to defend. Your identity should be coming after your opponent. No, you got to have an identity, because then you can bring guys in and out. You don't want to be rigid, I think, is the idea here. You don't want, let me rephrase. You don't want to be rigid tactically. You do want to have an identity and a philosophy, because that's a step above it. Tactically, you don't want to always come out in the same formation. You don't want to always come out with these players in these spots. You don't want to always come out and have, traditional wingers or inverted wingers. You want to mix things up to keep teams on their toes and to match up with the opponent. But you've got to have that identity as a style and as a philosophy. I think that's critical. He's a year and a half in, and he's had a bunch of new faces this year. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt a while longer on that. And this might not be the year for it, to be honest. With a short preseason, with the way the season has gone, it might not come yet. Now, it needs to at some point, or you become a situation like a Real Madrid where you have to have the best talent, or you're not able to overcome teams that have that identity and can maybe not out-talent you, but outplay you. This might not be the year for it. We'll have to see. It's going to be a fun run-in. Somebody else will establish themselves as a contender. I don't think it's going to be a two-horse race. Is it Everton? Is it Tottenham? Is it Leicester? Is it Manchester United? Those feel like the most likely to me. I don't know if any of them, as they are currently constructed, I would take any Reese's Candies and put them on them being in the top three. I just don't know which one of them will be the third one. I think Liverpool and Chelsea have set themselves apart.
Yeah, for me, Leicester City is the question is depth, and I know that Harvey Barnes, secondary scorer for Leicester with Jamie Vardy, at least today anyway. But who's going to be that secondary scorer for Leicester as the season continues to grow? Everton, for me, has Hamas with his injuries. Is that going to be a problem? Is that going to be a recurring issue as the season goes along? Has Dominic Calvert-Lewin been found out with his hot start, and now folks are going to be paying more attention to him? His offensive production has gone down. Who picks up the slack? Does Calvert-Lewin get to that next level offensively now that folks are paying attention to him? And Tottenham, for me, I think that Tottenham has the depth, but, once again, you're managing egos and Jose and competitions and all that kind of stuff. And that's why I figured with the depth, Tottenham would end up being a part of the discussion.
What egos are you managing at Tottenham?
Huh?
What egos are you managing at Tottenham?
Oh, I was thinking Jose's own.
He's got to manage himself?
Oh, it's there. It's always a part of.
Yeah, but that's different. That's a good thing, I think. I think he's back in good Jose mode where the ego and the issues with him take away the pressure from the players. He's not throwing players under the bus except for Dele Alli, who we already did day one, and we're not surprised.
Or Tanguy and Ndombele earlier in the season.
And yes, that really makes a huge difference. Oh, no, I'm really upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, Jose's in a good spot because he's got a group that he's the biggest ego of the bunch. So that's good because that takes the heat off of everybody else. I just don't know if they're quite good enough defensively to be in that next group. Can they make a move? I don't know. I think the mentality, that some, like Rope says, I'd like Everton to fight for a Champions League spot. Others have said they think that they'd be happy with a Europa League spot. This feels like the year that we could see something weird happen where, it is an Everton, it is a Leicester, it is a Tottenham who push into that title race because it's compressed. You've got teams playing in Europe. That's going to hurt some teams. You've got injuries. You've just got all kinds of weirdness. I don't think we're done being weird yet this season at all. So if it's there for them, I hope all of those teams, and sure, we'll put Southampton into this conversation for now. I think they'd need a lot more work. But all of those teams, if the right things become available in January, they should jump on it because you might not ever be in the situation again.
Yeah, no question.
You just might not be in the way the game is going and the way modern football's kind of headed. If you're in Everton and you have an opportunity to be in second after Boxing Day, if there's a right move that you think can win you the title, you got to go for it. Don't settle.
Yeah.
Don't settle for, this is fun. We just want to make sure we're in Europa. Go for it. Go for it. I think they can. I think when you've got a player like Hamas, that guy can carry you. I mean, we're seeing it with Manchester United right now with Bruno Fernandes. He is just carrying them, and they don't have a consistent goal scorer. Defensively they fall apart at times, but he is constantly producing, whether goals for himself or goals for others. When you've got a player that can be that talisman, you got to ride that, and Everton's got it in Hamas. So if they can get there, great. I'm not buying Wolves. Katie Weaver asked about Wolves and Saints. I'm not buying Wolves without Jimenez. I can't see him. I can't see them being in this race. Could they be in a Europa League race? Sure. I can't see them getting into the title race. You mentioned Southampton before, but I think you were doing it just because of the table.
Yeah.
It's
because of Danny Ings' injury history and if Ings stays hurt, who steps up. I mean, Adams has done that, but I don't see the scoring there. If Ings is injured, I don't see the depth there, and I don't see the push. I did mention Southampton just because of the table, and the one team we haven't talked about yet is Manchester City.
Well, they're ninth. I mean, that's the thing. They're 8 points back. We haven't talked about Aston Villa, who right now, with their 3 points they have on the temporary table with about 60 minutes to go, that would move them into sixth. Man City, I just feel like is all in on Champions League.
I think so.
I think they're all in on Champions League and next year. The problem for them, it's not getting into that conversation about winning the title. It's about the conversation about getting into fourth. Now, they're 3 points out of it, but there's a whole bunch of teams in this mix. They've got to be in Champions League next year. They have to be. I mean, if you are courting Lionel Messi, and they have said that they will, he's not going if he's not playing in Champions League next year. He'll go to PSG instead if he's decided to leave Barcelona. He'll go to PSG. They've got to get into that. They absolutely can and should. But winning Champions League this year has to be their focus and getting into the top four. I don't know. I'm not buying it with them as a top contender for the title this year. I think it's Liverpool. I think it's Chelsea. I think it's going to be at least one more of this gaggle of teams. And I think everybody else is fighting for the Champions League spots and the Europa spots.
Then let me ask you this where Messi is concerned. If you had the option of playing in Champions League and going through the grind of a Premier League season versus the not grind of a Ligue 1 season, as you're a player in your early to mid-30s, where would you go?
Why do you think Messi is lazy? Why do you think he doesn't want to grind?
You
brought the question up. Well, you brought the question up like it would be a problem.
It's like you're going to be in Champions League if you're at PSG or if you're in theory, if you're at Manchester City. To pursue titles and be as healthy as you'd like to be, would you rather go through a season at PSG where you're anticipating winning Ligue 1, maybe a challenge or two, or have to go through something at Manchester City like festive fixtures where you're playing every 3 or 4 days?
Where is this narrative coming from?
I'm just asking.
No, it's a narrative because you're not the only one asking it. Like, who is coming up with this idea? I
don't know.
Is it the old school English because the Premier League is the best in the world and it's the toughest, and can he do it on a cold night in Stoke?
Ugh.
Lionel Messi doesn't want to sit on the bench ever. Lionel Messi never wants to be pulled out of games. Pep Guardiola figured out I can't sub him, otherwise I'm going to have him angry at me for 2 weeks. It's nonsense. It's absolute, complete, and utter nonsense. What does he want to do? What should he do? Different conversation. What does he want to do? He wants to go and light England on fire. That's what he wants to do. He'd have no problem doing that. He'd play as much as he gets called to play on. That narrative has to stop. Anybody who has that narrative doesn't understand Lionel Messi and doesn't understand his mentality. Is he slowing down? Yes, he's getting older. Everybody does. But he is not going to be afraid of going to England because it's tough. That's not the issue at all. He's going to make the decision for his career. And if he feels like Manchester City is a place that he can go and win, he'll go. If he feels like PSG is a place he can go and win, he'll go. And for PSG, yeah, the bar is different because the French league isn't as competitive. You're going to want to win the Champions League at PSG. If he decides to go to Manchester City and they don't win the Champions League, but they win the Premier League, he'll be completely happy with that. It'll be a huge feather in his cap. No, that idea has to stop. It's just this mentality because it's the cold, windy night in Stoke thing. It's like, oh, it's so great, and I don't know if can he be committed to it? Is he tough enough? Does he want to play these minutes? Yes, he absolutely wants to play these minutes. That's insane. The other thing about it, and I know some have assumed that he would go to Manchester City just because of Pep. I think he has a good relationship with Pep. It wasn't a father-son kind of relationship with Pep. Pep knew that Messi held the power at Barcelona as he was coming into his own. Pep had to manage him appropriately. I think Pep enjoyed working with him. He said it many times, like, all the philosophy and then tactics and all that. Yeah, it helps a lot when it's not working, Messi can come save the day and score an amazing goal and you win. It's great. I don't think Manchester City's going to mortgage their future to get Lionel Messi. I think if it's the right deal and it makes the most sense, then they're going to make a good approach. I think PSG would mortgage their future for Lionel Messi because they have to try to win the Champions League. I think Barcelona has mortgaged their future for Lionel Messi, and they do it again if they have to try to keep him. And I would not be blown away, depending on how this presidential election goes, if Lionel Messi stays at Barcelona. I would not be shocked by it. I would not be shocked if he gets what he wants at Barcelona. He feels like he can win there. I know it's going to be difficult with the financials, but this is a gigantic club. Those things can flip really fast. If he feels like he can win there, if he feels like he can protect his legacy there, because I think that's becoming a bigger element of his motivations, and stay there through the next World Cup, because everything for him is going to be based on trying to win the World Cup in 22. Everything in his life is going to be based on trying to win that World Cup. I think it would have been the case anyway, because it's going to be his last one. I do think that Maradona's death might actually make that even more important to him, as a way to honor him, as a way to establish, for Messi to establish himself as an equal. I think those things are the leading motivations for him. And if he decides not to go to England, it's not going to be because he doesn't want to put in the work. It's going to be because, is it going to help him be at his best to go into the World Cup? Does he feel like staying where he's comfortable and has a bit of control over things at Barcelona, or going to PSG? Could that make him better prepared for the World Cup? I would not be blown away if he stays at Barca and wants to help fix it, and then goes after the World Cup. Maybe he finishes that year out, whatever club he's at, and after that, maybe he does go to Newell's. Maybe he comes to MLS. I mean, it's crazy. It's possible. He's not doing it before the World Cup. He's not going to make anything like that before the World Cup, but he's not your average good player. He's not Cristiano Ronaldo in this. He's got different motivations than your average guy. So it's going to be interesting. Before we move on to some other stuff, Burns says, City is a huge enigma to me. They should do much better based on their quality, but they just can't get it done this season. In the end, they couldn't replace Kompany, absolutely, David Silva, and Kun Aguero. All of those are very, very true. It has been weird. The last couple of years have been weird for Manchester City. It feels like the things that Guardiola has said about burning out and 3, 4 or 2 or 3 year projects, as opposed to the length of time he's been at City, it feels like it's starting to show. It feels like it's gotten a little stale. They're going to have to make big changes to the roster, I think, to get where they want to get. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do it or willing to do it, because it's incredibly risky. So, they've got to win the Champions League. I think if he wins the Champions League, he'll be happy and he'll probably be ready to go. That's, I'm guessing, why he has stayed, because that's starting to become an issue for the Pep Guardiola legacy as well. He was incredible at Barcelona. He was great in the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich. He had 2 incredible years with Manchester City in the Premier League, but no more Champions League after he left Barcelona. What's up with that?
Yeah.
That's starting to become an issue. It's ridiculous to me. I agree with what he said about the Champions League and what others have said. It is a crapshoot. You do have a bit of luck involved in it. But as good as he is, you would think he would have had one at Bayern. You would think he'd have one at Manchester City. We'll just have to wait and see. Some other news on the table today. Rumors out of the Athletic silly season. We're getting very close. There's been a lot of rumors about David Alaba leaving Bayern Munich in January. Everybody is saying that ain't happening. Now, there was talk about where he'd end up because he can sign a pre-contract for next year in January. People have said Manchester United. People have said Chelsea. People have said different places. The Athletic understands Real Madrid is in the way, leading this, because they are going to give him the salary that he wants. He turned down £200,000 a week from Bayern. Just crazy. But he turned that down. Real Madrid is really the most likely to be able to pay what he's asking for salary-wise. Manchester United have been linked to him, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has wanted to keep the salaries not completely level, but not have anybody making way far above everybody else to manage the squad, and this would do that. So it doesn't seem like they want to go down that road. Real Madrid seems like the most likely, and he could sign a pre-contract in January, but he won't be leaving in January.
Yeah, because I know that Alaba had been a possible mention for Liverpool to chase in the January window because of their injury issues, but not the case.
Not happening. Sunderland could be purchased, and it could go down. Could even go down before the first of the year. It is a French businessman, Kirill Louis-Dreyfus, who would acquire the controlling interest in the club. He's 22. He is the son of Russian-born Swiss billionaire Margarita Louis-Dreyfus, who is the chairperson of the Louis-Dreyfus Group, who succeeded her husband Robert in the role after he died in 2009. Robert formerly owned Marseille. Jason Nix was asking if Jarrett was still lurking. I think he left.
He did.
He just ran off. He just came in and yelled stuff and then left.
He did a hit and run for the morning.
I know. I was about to ask him a question, and I'm like, oh, yeah, he's not here anymore. Celtics playing right now, so he's probably screaming about that. A lot of speculation in France about what's going to happen in January, this broadcast revenue issue. Lyon, their sporting director, Juninho, said that their key players will not move. Saint-Étienne has held discussions about possible investment from Dubai. You're going to hear rumors about French players being sold. You're going to hear rumors like that Saint-Étienne one about investment coming in. Yes, his picture's still lurking. I need to pull his picture when he leaves like that, but we'll leave it up for now. Some clubs will have to sell. I don't know if it'll be the title contenders because maybe they feel like getting into the Champions League is something they can control and worth the money that they're potentially risking to get there, but stay tuned. Kylian Mbappe paid tribute to Thomas Tuchel after the reports of him being sacked. He said, "It is sadly the law of football. Nobody will forget your time here. You wrote a wonderful part of the club's history, and I say to you, thank you, coach." That was on an Instagram post. Very nice from Mbappe. Pochettino still linked to PSG, hasn't had an announcement just yet. Now, with that link, the rumors of Christian Eriksen going to Paris have immediately emerged because, look, I mean, he's going to be leaving Inter somehow, some way in January. I just don't see him sticking around there. And he had a good relationship with Pochettino. He played 255 games for Poch at Tottenham, scored 58 goals. Only Kane and Son scored more under Pochettino. So it makes sense. I get it. And they're saying it could be a swap with Leandro Paredes from PSG going to enter in the swap deal. So stay tuned to that. You got all the Boxing Day games today in England. There's Boxing Day games going on in Scotland as well. In South America, you've got games this weekend and some big ones. Brazil, you got a triple header of games today. If you subscribe to the Brasileiro package on Fnatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. I tried to go fast that time. You were ready for it. You got games at 3, 5, and 7. Third, and a lot of the leaders, too. Third place, Atletico Mineiro is hosting relegation probable Coritiba at 3 o'clock. Second place, Flamengo. They're all over the map these days, but they are in second. They go on the road to face 14th place Fortaleza at 5. You've got a relegation battle if you want to watch misery at 5 o'clock with Goiás and Sport Recife. And then at 7, the league leaders, Sao Paulo, go on the road to 7th place Fluminense. That should be a really good match. Tomorrow, you've got Internacional, who's in 4th, going on the road at 2 o'clock to face Bahia, who's in 16th place, just got knocked out of the Copa Sudamericana quarterfinals, and they fired their coach. Because this is what happens in Brazil. You just fire coaches as fast as possible.
Yes.
You got games in Argentina tomorrow as well. River and Boca both play, and this will be the last games for them ahead of the first Super Classico of 2021. January 2nd, wasting no time. River leads Boca in one of the second phase groups in the Campeonato phase of the Copa Diego Armando Maradona. There's 3 games left. You win the group, you play in a final for a Copa Libertadores spot. Tomorrow, Boca hosts Huracan at 5:20. River hosts Arsenal at 7:30. So, 2 big games back to back. So you've got that 2:00 game in Brazil tomorrow with Internacional. You got a triple header tomorrow. You're all set. Big news this morning out of Argentina. Sebastian Becasese, who's one of the top young managers on the rise there, he announced he's leaving Racing. Now, there's a whole lot of drama behind the scenes. This was one spot that a lot of people were saying Gabriel Heinze could end up at. I don't think he would have because of that drama behind the scenes. But Becasese announced he's leaving this morning. Diego Milito, the sporting director, had announced he was leaving earlier. I think he was talked into staying through their Copa Libertadores run, which ended this week against Boca. Reportedly, before that game at La Bombonera, Diego Milito, the sporting director who's on his way out, and club president Adrian Fernandez had a huge argument in front of everybody before the game, and Becasese had to be involved in pulling them apart. Makes some sense why Racing stunk up the joint in the first half in that game, if you've got stuff like that happening before you go out. Two names mentioned as possible replacements at Racing. Hernan Crespo at Defensa y Justicia, who's got them in the Copa Sudamericana semifinals. I don't think he'd leave until that tournament's done. And Guillermo Barros Escaloto, who, as we know, was at the LA Galaxy and didn't do very well, but did very, very well at Boca. So Racing could be another one on this crazy managerial carousel, and it was one that people thought Gabriel Heinze might wait it out to see if that job opened up. He's in a much better spot here than he would have been at Racing with that kind of drama going on behind the scenes. But Becasese left when Milito, who's the guy who hired him, said he was leaving. A lot of the speculation was that Becasese would leave with him. That's basically what he said today, was he's leaving with the guy who hired him.
Antinho is in this morning. You mentioned Boca. Antinho is in, and he has a one-word tweet with two googly eyes attached. Pavone.
You seem very excited about Pavone.
Well, it's just, I know that we had talked about him in the past, but the LA Galaxy decided that apparently $10 million was too much to keep Christian Pavone.
You sound like you're dripping with disdain for the LA Galaxy saying it that way.
Well, didn't they offer 8?
Don't know. I mean, that's what's being reported, was that they offered around 8.
And
so you would have spent $2 million more to Phil Anschutz's money?
Yeah, I would have, considering you only have 13 guys on the roster and you need to kind of score goals.
Pavone's not going to score you a ton of goals, first off. Let's be real. And you only got 13 guys on the roster. Is spending that much on one going to make the difference? Now, you do have a limit on designated players in this league. He would be your third because you've got Jonah Dos Santos and Chicharito. So I thought they'd go for $10 million. I did.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised they didn't. I'm wondering if the reporting was accurate, because it feels like if they were at 8, they probably could have gotten to 10. The rampant speculation has already started that, Atlanta should go get him, or anybody should go get him. I don't know if Boca really wants to sell him, to be perfectly honest. I think they would have been okay with selling him. I don't think they're actively trying to move him. That's the thing that needs to be understood. And with them going into a Copa Libertadores semifinal that, by all accounts, they would be able to register him in because of the way the roster rules in Libertadores are working this year. I mean, he's back as a Boca player as of January 1st. I mean, I think he might even be able to play in the Super Classico against River if they wanted to, which would be wild. They've got big games coming up. They might say, you know what? Yeah, we're back to 15 or 20 million if you want him.
Yeah. You price him to a point to where folks aren't interested and you want to keep him.
I think, like I said, I think they would have been okay with selling him, but I don't think they're shopping him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Tafka's in with a survey question. He says he can't listen live, but he has a survey.
He has a survey, uh-oh.
He has a survey question. If you could bring in one coach, not necessarily for Atlanta, who would be a realistic hire, i.e. you can't choose Pepper Klopp for 2022, who would you choose?
Well, I think you're looking at a lot of the managers we've been talking about here lately. Hernan Crespo is one that I would absolutely choose. I think he is a real up-and-coming talent as a manager. He's doing great work at Defensa y Justicia to get them to the Copa Sudamericana semifinals, a place they've never been, and they play good soccer. They play along the lines that we're starting to see more of, the positional play model, the up-tempo model. He has his own spin on it. He plays more out of a 3-4-3 than others who play more out of a 4-3-3, but Crespo's showing a lot of quality in what he's doing. Bekasese, now that he's going to be out of work, he's going to finish the season. Racing's not going to move on in this Copa Diego Armando Maradona. Bekasese's young, too. He's one that I'd absolutely go for. I think there's an idea in American soccer that really needs to stop, and I get it because of the language similarities. Everybody looks to, go get this guy out of England. Go get this guy out of Europe. And yeah, it's great. You can get better value, better prices, managers too, out of South America. And American soccer needs to look to South America far more than it does. I hope that changes. It's changed somewhat on the player side. It needs to change in the ideas side, because what these guys are doing is far more interesting than some of the managers that reportedly throw their names around about American soccer jobs. I mean, David Moyes was lurking around everywhere for a while. Like, he's showing up on subways in Washington, D.C., and it's like, ooh, David Moyes wants a job. No offense. I think he's okay, but no offense. You can do better. Go get somebody else. Crespo, Bekasese, Jorge Sampaoli, I think in Brazil would be a reasonable get. Go in that direction more. I mean, I don't know of anybody out of Europe that would be like that, and that's the other thing, is you're going to turn to people you know. Would they come here and be better, or would they come here and be interested in it? I don't know. I think the ones that I keep coming back to are the Crespos, the Sampaolis, the Bekaseses. I'll give you the other one that somebody should be at least kicking the tires on, and the LA Galaxy would be a good fit here if they haven't went down the road with Vanny too far, is Miguel Herrera. I mean, Piojo's nuts, and you're going to be getting a lot of the drama around it too, but he has won things, and he is a good manager. You're going to have to deal with the personality, but he has won things at a big club. That he's not going to come into the LA Galaxy and be, struggling with the pressure of winning in Los Angeles. So absolutely have a conversation with him. He'd be a huge figure in the league, which is a good thing for the league.
Yeah.
I don't know if he fits the personality at Toronto. It feels like LA would be the better fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Patrick Vieira is another one because he's been in the league. He's available now. Dome Tarrant has been in the league. He's available now. He's realistic. All of those are realistic. And I think you should look at all of them, but I would lean to the South American guys because I just feel like there's better value there. And I think South American managers, as we've seen with Heinze, are interested in that jumping off point like the players have found in MLS.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the point that I was going to bring up, much like the players that we've been seeing that want to go to that next stage in Europe, wherever that is and whatever league that is, they're coming to MLS to improve, to be seen, and then work their way to Europe instead of making that direct path to Europe, and the same should apply for coaches as well.
How you feeling about your Swansea squad?
Let's see. So now you're having me switch over quickly and see what's going on. Actually, I was looking at my AFC Wimbledon squad, and we're down 2-0 at the half to Oxford United.
I think Colonel was throwing some shade at you.
Oh, he was?
Yes, because Swansea is winning 1-0. Colonel's very happy about it. He hasn't been keeping up with the power hour.
It is QPR, and they were favored coming into the game at Loftus Road. And,
you are so down on Swansea. You always find something to diminish anything that they do. I don't understand you. They're in second place.
I'm just waiting for it to fall. I'm waiting for that late. I've always been accustomed to that late season, pardon the pun, swan song, where everything, they just kind of fade and it ends up having to be a climb to either get into the playoffs. I mean, last year they had like 38 things happen on the last day of the season to get into the playoffs. They did, and they broke my heart. So, yeah, that's where I am.
Why are
Absolutely
you so
broke my heart.
negative? Why are you like this, John? Why are you like this? Because you should be happy about your team being in second place.
Hey, I love it now, but I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that other shoe to drop. I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm just waiting for it to happen.
That makes no sense, John. It
I know.
Really doesn't.
Does fandom make sense? Does ownership make sense?
Ownership generally tries to make sense. Fandom should make more sense at times. People are asking about the ad read for today. We normally don't do an ad read on the Saturday show because it's a short show. So
yes,
yeah, no, exactly.
Although that there will be 3 taped ad reads for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that you can sit there and critique and judge where I won't be able to see the numbers.
I can't wait. All right, we're going to leave it with this as we try to wrap up because are you talking on our Barn Burner Friends network here in a little bit?
No, I'm listening to coaches discussing their championship teams.
When is that?
It's all day, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, so we might have just a slight bit of stoppage time because I wanted to play this. The conversation, and we read the quotes from Marcelo Bielsa at Leeds on Christmas Eve. He was very, very clear in calling people out who have tried to make something of the style of play, who have started down this road of, well, you can't keep doing this. It's naive, or it's dumb, or you can't play this way, or all that kind of stuff. Paul Merson, who is a former legendary player in England, on Football Daily said, he said a lot, but this is what it came down to at the end of his, they called it a rant, so I'll call it a rant. This is what he said at the end about the game against Manchester United.
No, I love watching them. I do. I love watching them, but you can't keep on playing this way. It's all right, us all going, great, great, great. If I'm a Leeds fan, I'm fuming. I don't go to Man United and get beat 6-2. It's our cup final. No, set up, be hard to beat. Don't play 1v1s all over the football pitch and sit back.
Entertainment mess.
No entertainment. No.
Looked pretty entertaining to me.
Of course it was. It was entertaining to us. I'm sitting here. If I'm sitting here and I support Leeds, if I supported Leeds, no.
Ali McCoy, would you want to play in that Leeds side?
Of course he would. He's a centre forward. Of course he would.
The last part is pretty funny. This is going to get louder for multiple reasons. Because it's what people do. 2, Bielsa has made it an issue. And 3, people feel like they can attack Marcelo Bielsa and his way of thinking about the game and his way of playing because of some of the results. The way I see it is Leeds is confident in the way that they see the game. They're confident in the way that they play. They are confident that they're not going to be in the relegation fight. So they're going to play the way that they play to make it better. They don't have to play scared. They don't have to do that, make yourselves hard to beat, all that kind of nonsense. If you were West Brom, yes, that becomes more of an issue because you're not getting results playing your way. Leeds is getting results probably about where they should be getting results playing their way. I will give that more credit. I do know that there is an element, and this is what Merson's playing off of, there's a massive element about the Leeds-Manchester United match. It's a huge rivalry. We haven't seen it in the top flight in a long time, so it's easy to kind of forget that. I didn't get a sense, and I'm not studying every Leeds blog and message board, I didn't get a sense that Leeds fans were upset about the performance and the result. I know TalkSport found some random Leeds fan so-and-so, and he said Bielsa needs to go. Like, yes, okay, we're going to write an article about that because that's really great to do. Yep. But that goes back to what Bielsa was saying. Bielsa said the media is trying to destabilize his group and destabilize everything by going down this narrative. And he's 100% right. Like, this is going to be an issue the rest of the way. If Leeds at all slips a little bit further down the table, you're going to hear the old school English mentality come out in saying, they got to get defensive. They got to play on the counter. They got to be hard to beat. They got to be hard to break down. They got to park the bus. They got to do all that because that's what they think teams are supposed to do. Bielsa said, I'm not going to do that. It's going to be a fight.
Oh, I mean, I love Merce, but in this case, it drives me crazy when it seems like, yeah, you're looking at something through the prism of a 6-2 loss, but you don't understand the fabric and the framework of what got them to where they are and what's giving them the success that they're getting. And because of a result that is so ungodly catastrophic, you have to change everything, and you've got to be like Sam. You've got to be like Big Sam, just so you can survive. But then it's like if you do that, then you're questioning your entire philosophy from the first place, and it's it's driving me nuts. But this is where you reinforce to everyone who's under your umbrella, if you're Leeds. This is where we have to double down. This is where we have to be just as assured now as we were to get to this point, instead of doing something where you have to completely and totally switch your mentality because you don't trust in what you've done to get you to this point. And it's just, oh my God, I'm getting a migraine thinking about it.
Leeds is 6 points clear of the drop zone. They've got cushion right now. If that changes, things could get a little weird. And yes, you do need to stay up. Being relegated would be a failure for Leeds. No question about it. Staying up is the goal. They have been good because of the way they've played. Mm-hmm. They're not going to change that ever, I don't think. The only time they should even think about it is if it comes down to a result needed to stay up. That kind of situation. Then we're having a little bit different conversation. Now, long term, because that's the other thing that factors into it that's being left out of this conversation. And look, I know that people are going to make some comparisons because Gabriel Heinze has been linked so closely to Marcelo Bielsa that, okay, well now in Atlanta, it's not about results at all, and if they don't win, then it doesn't matter. That's not the case because Atlanta's expectations are different than Leeds. Leeds is like a very small team in terms of the quality of their roster in the Premier League. They have the potential to be a bigger team in the Premier League. They need to establish themselves a little bit there. Ropes asks if Leeds will make some big purchases in the window. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's going to make any big purchases in the window. That's the problem. They've been linked to a few moves. They could look at something. I don't think it'll be big purchases. I do think they're going to need to upgrade their roster more going into next season just to be able to compete better. They are competing because of the style of play, not in spite of the style of play. I think that's the element here. That's bridging the gap for them. Their roster, value-wise, is one of the lowest in the league. Salary-wise, I'd assume it's one of the lowest in the league. They have built up to this point. They're going to need more reinforcements. When you get to that point, then a 6-2 loss to Manchester United is completely and totally unacceptable. It can't happen on a regular basis. This year, it is somewhat expected, and it does need to improve. They need to be better at what they do, but they don't need to go away from what they do. That's a very different conversation. Jason Nix with a good point. I couldn't remember the specific details. The Leeds owner just sold some of his shares of the San Francisco 49ers. They have a strong business relationship. Jason thinks they need money to keep the team afloat. I don't know if it's to that point, but they probably are thinking strategically about the finances. So everybody's in this situation. Mm-hmm. If an offer comes up that is a good one for them, they will probably look to do it to strengthen in January, but they're not going to splash cash. Getting to the summer is going to be a trickier element for them because they're going to need to, and I don't know where the finances will be then. So I don't think Leeds is in trouble financially. I think they're pretty well supported financially at this point. and having a full year in the Premier League is going to help them a ton. But they have lost money because everybody's losing it. They're just not. They're not at the level talent-wise of the top 10 teams in the league, and that's okay. That's where they are right now. But they're doing well because of the style of play and because of the manager. And none of this is a direct correlation to what should, can, and will happen in Atlanta, because Leeds is a lower-tier talent-wise team and lower-tier salary-wise team in the Premier League. Atlanta is the direct opposite of that in MLS. So there's a different conversation at foot about it all entirely.
Yeah, no, for me, if Leeds adds a piece in January, it will be a piece that they believe will help. And you're going to, it may not be a name that we're all familiar with, but it is a piece that they think will assist them, whether to fill a gap someplace. It won't be a shiny object for the sake of a shiny object, just to add a high-priced talent, just to do that. No, it's
no. It's beyond no. That's not what they would ever do. That's not what Leeds is. That's if they won the lottery tomorrow. That's not what they're going to do. Leeds doesn't go and sign shiny objects to shine shiny objects. Let's not get it twisted. Leeds is not going to be in a position to go sign a $100 million striker that they would probably love to have because they can't spend it. They can't go sign on big money transfers in positions they need, not shiny objects. So let's not use that narrative. That's not who Leeds is. Chelsea did that. That's why Chelsea has a lot of extra talent in certain positions. Real Madrid would do that, although they might not now, because it sounds like they're being pretty realistic. Manchester City has done that at times. Liverpool has done that at times. I don't think any of them are going to be doing that right now because the money's not there for shiny objects. But the money does need to be there for guys that make your team better. That's a different conversation. Some clubs don't have the money for that. It's an important distinction, and Leeds isn't that team that throws money around about shiny objects.
Right. So, no, I'm with you 100%.
All right, we're going to wrap up. John will not be with us on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. He's got high school playoffs. Where can people watch all the Georgia high school playoffs?
GPB.org, and the GPB Sports app. Also, I think they're streaming, and so if you can also watch on the NFHS network. But biggest thing is over-the-air linear TV, GPB. If you want to watch online, you can download the app or watch on the .org.
I think they're on Twitter as well.
Yeah, we do. I don't know if we're doing it for the championships. Traditionally, what we've done is do live on Twitter. So
yeah, I've seen the setup
GPB
for those
Sports.
Posts. Yeah, at GPB Sports.
Yeah, so at GPB Sports, I'll be the one wearing a suit and wearing makeup at Georgia State. Everybody else will be indoors in climate-controlled surroundings for 3 days.
It's supposed to warm up a little bit.
And then Wednesday, it's supposed to rain like hell.
Oh, good times. You're not going to wear your jeans, are you?
Oh no, I can't.
Okay, good.
No, it is suits or blazer and slacks, and I think the Merrills will be getting a lot of work though.
The what?
It'll be Merrills, my Merrill boots.
Okay.
I think the boots will be getting some work if it's not dress shoes. I think Wednesday's going to be an ugly day, so it's probably going to end up being rain gear, a disposable pair of chinos, and my Merrills, and then collapsing at that point.
Okay. Good times.
And then I'll be back on Thursday. But yes, you will have 3 separate Appolinsky and Associates reads for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Oh boy!
So I will have no idea what the music sounds like as I'm reading it, and so it will be completely and totally atonal. I'm quite sure.
Yeah, I hope it's just completely and utterly off. That's going to be even better. Like I hope it's just completely out of whack.
Nice scarf on the back wall behind your left shoulder, by the way.
Yeah, some guy who's a big Club Brugge fan sent that over.
Hey, that's good stuff.
Probably intentional.
I like it. That's good. But I forgot to ask, how was Christmas?
It was nice. It was just really nothing special. That's what I kind of wanted it to be. I didn't do anything going anywhere. So I cooked a ham and made a glaze that I'd never made before. I'd never glazed a ham before, and made up the glaze on my own, and it came out really, really, really good. So that's going to be in a sandwich here in just a little bit.
Ours was quiet as well. It was Waffle House for lunch and jambalaya for dinner.
Looks like you're not going to have as much rain, according to weather report from Abby. Wednesday's a slight chance. It's moved to mostly Thursday.
Cool. The Weather Channel's helping us out with our weather forecasts, and there's a vicious rumor that Cantori might be doing them.
Okay.
I don't want him at Georgia State. You can do it from the studio all you want. Just don't show up at Center Park.
Why? Why you got to be
Because
like that?
usually whenever he shows up someplace live, you know the trouble's coming.
Jeez. That was mean.
No, it's factual. When people see Jim Cantori
I don't want
on a
you
plane
at the
going
stadium.
someplace, when people see Cantori on a plane flying somewhere, they're like, there's not anything happening, is there? Literally, that's what they're asking him now.
Ay.
Do the forecasts from the studio, please. That's all I want.
All right, lots of Boxing Day games today. We'll see if Mikel Arteta can get anything out of a team that he has said is the most talented team in the Premier League. That's at 12:30. 3 o'clock, Manchester City is playing. That'll be the one most people are probably watching as they host Newcastle. Sheffield United hosting Everton. We'll see if Sheffield United can actually win a game. They've scored a few goals. We'll see if they can win a game. I know we're asking a lot. Everton can climb into second place outright with a win. You got Leeds and Burnley tomorrow at 7, West Ham and Brighton at 9:15, Liverpool and West Brom at 11:30, Wolves and Tottenham at 2:15. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll talk about all of that, or at least I'll talk about all of that, starting on Monday when we're back on a normal schedule. Y'all have a good rest of the weekend. Mucha plati, y'all.
Mucha plati, y'all.